Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Welcome on back. My name, of course, is Seth Bill. That's Jacob Terrell. We got a guest tonight. Should be along shortly. So hang tight. They're coming. We promise. Welcome on in. Glad you're here. It's Tuesday night. We are, of course, United Front. I want to start tonight by saying a huge shout out and thank you to Symphonic Resonance, who's over in the chat tonight. Symphonic joined me on Saturday for the grand face reveal. We did a watch along of the match against Oakland Roots Saturday night. So huge shout out and thank you to Symphonic. If you guys don't know who Symphonic is the founder and one of the moderators of both the New Mexico United subreddit as well as the Discord. So shout just all thanks in the world to Symphonic for showing up on Saturday and helping me do that. So I know it was kind of last minute. We didn't give you guys a whole lot of warning. I got some information on Friday, and Jacob and I started discussing the possibility of doing more watch-alongs this season to fill a potential gap. And I'll leave it at that for now. And so, you know, Jacob was at one of the watch parties. I was at home. I said, you know what, let's do this. I reached out to Symphonic. Symphonic was willing to come on and hang out with us while we were talking, you know, Oakland Roots and United on Saturday. And I had a really great time. If you guys didn't watch it, go give it a look. It's over on YouTube and Facebook. You can see it. We're not going to make that available, you know, anywhere else. We're not going to put it on the podcast feeds. Nothing wouldn't make sense to, but we're going to try our best to do that more throughout the rest of the season. And hello, Christina.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm hanging in there. How about you guys?
You know, doing well. And hey, you know what? They won. I
did notice you had United swag on for the watch along.
I did.
What the hell?
And we lost, so I'm never going to wear it again.
Uh-oh.
I mean, you never wore it last year, and we lost 2 times last year. So, yeah, I saw that. It was like, what the hell, Seth? When me and Christina are on, no, but that's all right. I'll rip it every week like I always do for us.
No, I save it for the special occasions, you know, like Pete,
Symphonic. I got you.
Yeah.
We don't. What I hear there, Christina, is we don't matter. That's what I hear
there. No, so the watch along was great. And you know, hopefully next time you guys can pop in as well. I haven't talked about it, but I don't think we're planning on one this weekend. I guess I can share a little bit more. So I got some news on Friday. 1017 is scaling back the radio coverage this year. Primarily for away matches. The radio station will be covering select away matches this year. And I'll get a heads up maybe a couple of weeks ahead of time, a week ahead of time. I don't know anything beyond San Antonio this weekend. The station will be carrying San Antonio. They will be carrying Open Cup on Wednesday. By the way, when we're talking about this too, Wednesday night's gonna be packed down by the lab, by the way. We'll get to that here in a minute. Space Kid, Desert Friar, Justin, Josh, Symphonic, Rosemary, Cool Will. There you go. Welcome on in, guys. So as we know more, we are looking at doing expanded watch-alongs, expanded coverage on match day. And all I can say is, if you are unhappy, let your voices be heard. Okay. I have no say in the matter. I can't change things one way or the other. That's the decision I was informed of late this week. Just got off USL show. Dude, very cool. So yeah, as we know more, we'll let you guys know. But the plan is, and we'll hash this all out a little bit better and give you guys more advance warning. I would love to do more watch alongs, whether it's the three of us two of us, someone from the community hopping on like Symphonic did this past weekend. I had a great time with it. Christina, I know you were busy Saturday night. I don't know if you could see any of the watch along or not.
I didn't. I hate to say this out loud, but I didn't even get to watch the game. I've just been so busy that I haven't had a time to sit down and actually watch, which is a big bummer. But hopefully before the end of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you get a chance to take a look at that because we do have a very busy week ahead. I was just saying, if you're unhappy, please let folks know that you're unhappy about the decision. But we're gonna work on doing more throughout the season, and we'll talk more about this offline, how that's gonna look, who can be on and when and all that type of stuff. But we want to try to bring you guys more. And we've done a few watch-alongs in the past. And we do want to try, like I said, we want to try to do a little bit more. So, hi, Rachel. How are you? Good to see you. So, I mean, I know our guest is running a few minutes late. Jacob, I think you sent us a few notes here. Quickly, where do you want to start tonight, Jacob?
Let's start with the Oakland match. Dev will talk about it when he gets on. I know we kind of had somewhat differing opinions, me and Seth, about the results. Not so much. I mean, Christina, what you have not been able to watch, correct? Is that what I missed?
I have not.
Okay.
You were correct.
Then Seth, I will go to you. Initial takeaways from the match.
I like what I saw for the newcomers. I felt like they did a really good job. I felt like we came out slow. We gave up some silly mistakes in the back again. Not as bad as we've seen in the past, but just giving up possession in the final third, or defensive third, I should say, and then just not capitalizing. And the second goal that they got was just absolutely a stupid fluke. But I'm encouraged by what I saw. This is the first time I've seen the guys in action, and I don't think I've been negative about it. I've been pretty.
No, sorry. I was thinking of something else. So
okay.
Something else we might talk about later.
And watching the guys, I felt like, I mean, to highlight some, it's hard to highlight just one name because I felt like Nico had a good showing. Turi had a good showing. Lakava looked good. Zico looked really good. Gideon Zalalem looked really good in the midfield. I love what I saw out of Renix. I love Reed Stevens. I can't fault any of these performances. It was a dumb fluky goal that gave Oakland the win. And, you can't put that on because Shakes made a terrific save ahead of it. And it's just unfortunate. So again, I thought it was positive, a lot of positives, ball going forward. We got better in possession as the match went on. We grew into it. Yeah, like it, but again, it's you go from 2 shots in the first half to what was it, 13 in the second half, 14 in the second half. Like you have to make quality chances happen.
Yeah, so let me go to you, children. Let me go to you, Chris, real quick, Christina. What are you doing? Hi, I love you. Go on. As somebody who didn't watch the match, what would you like to know about the match?
Well, I feel like Cool Will's summary sounds real similar to last season. High possession, not a lot of chances on goal. So I'm curious if that was your guys' take as well. But Seth, you kind of answered it. You said 2 shots on first half, 16, 17 second half. I mean, it's a tale of 2 halves, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm curious what was there a breakdown early on that led to that first Oakland goal, or was it just Oakland clicking and having a game ahead of us, and we were just kind of getting on our feet?
I think you can summarize it by we're not a super fast starting team on normally anyways, it seems like. And then you factor in it's our first match. The lineup that we saw was relatively new. as far as you had a mix of new players and old players, but we hadn't seen it all preseason. Kip was out, Zalalem was out, so we kind of pieced all this together last minute, so to speak. And so it did just seem like the chemistry wasn't quite there. We weren't quite clicking. But I thought at the moment Oakland scores that first goal, which isn't a mistake necessarily, in my opinion. It just, they kind of recycle the ball, ends up having all this time in the world to deliver a cross, and delivers a perfect cross that Prentice goes up and gets and does perfectly with. And so that one, you kind of just shrug your shoulders. And at the moment, like, it's 6 minutes into the match, you just say, okay, now we know what to do. And from that moment on, I thought we kind of dominated. And so yeah, it was just kind of a fluky thing. But before we go any farther, Devon, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Perfect. Devon is in the back room here. We're going to add him to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Devon Sandoval. Welcome, Devon. Thank you.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, hear you just fine.
Cool.
So we're talking about the match on Saturday. Seth has the highlights going. Did you watch the match? Do you watch most matches?
I watched most matches. I probably watched like 75% of the matches. And then I caught like 5 minutes of the first half and then the whole second half. So yeah, missed this in real time. Saw the highlight. Could you actually back it up? To when the play started?
They don't show all of it. It was crossed in from the left all the way to the right. Wasn't there like
maybe a giveaway or something?
I think there was before this happened, and judging by the formation that we were in when it recycles, it definitely seems like we were in possession when it gets recycled.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the exact moment right before that. But playing out of the back, you lend yourself to that. It's a little.
We learned that the hard way last year.
So. Yeah, and it's a much different style than we played when you were with New Mexico United.
Yeah, it was starting to trend that way a little bit. But the way the game is now, it's definitely a lot more dramatic playing out the back. And I mean, that first goal Oakland scored. I mean, we could probably nitpick like our defense and getting back and getting heads down and all that, but that was a perfect cross and perfect finish. So not too much Shakes could do on that one, I think.
Yeah, I fully agree there. And then from there on, I think we kind of settled in. The rest of the first half had a couple good chances. Noel had one here. Hurst had a really good one that
I saw that.
I'm sure they'll be showing here in a minute. I haven't actually watched this highlight package yet, so I don't know what they show.
Yeah, I like that that attempt on there. You know, aggressive, taking his space and take your shot. You know, make the keeper answer some questions.
I think this is the Hurst chance.
Yeah, this is the Hurst.
Yeah, I love that build up, like into Hurst's feet and then him getting in behind. And I thought he, you know, he tried doing the right thing. You know, sat the keeper down and just couldn't find the home.
Yeah, to me it looked like it kind of went off like the top of his foot a little bit and off wide left, but you could definitely see that he was not happy with his finishing on that one. But yeah, I mean, United with two real chances in the first half. We saw both of them there, and I agree. You know, this is something I said in a number of chats was, you know, Val taking that shot from outside the area, forcing the Spiegel to try to make that save. You know, I felt like it opened things up a little bit, and we really did look better from that point on.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I only saw 5, maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, it was probably like 5 minutes of the first half, but from what I saw first, and you know, the pressure we're putting on, in the end of the second half was good, and you know, carried that into the second half. This was a highlight for me, Astorga getting back on the field.
For sure.
Yeah. Knowing kind of on the other side what he kind of went through with his injury and coming back, you know, especially the injury he had, that's, you know, really, really cool moment for him. And really happy for him.
Yeah, it was really cool for us, first of all, learning that both he and Christian were trialing in the preseason, and to see them both get contracts. Turi obviously getting the 25-day contract ahead of the season, but he comes in at halftime and he played really well. This is the first time we've really seen him in live action other than a little bit of time in the preseason. And so I felt he and Nico at the back were both tremendous here. And Kip made some pretty big plays as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Kip, he was out a lot of preseason, so I'm sure he's still getting into form a little bit. But from what I saw, you couldn't tell he looked good.
Yeah, and I don't know if the sub for him and Zelalem were injury related as far as like conditioning, since they had missed most of preseason.
Mm-hmm.
This Cam Wilkerson, who we'll discuss for briefly a minute. We don't know a whole lot about him, but they signed him to a 25-day contract as a midfielder. I'm kind of wondering if that doesn't signal to me that maybe Zelalem aggravated something or something like that, with already Jafal out and then Jabang having to play more right back right now with Howell out. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's it or not, but they did both look good in their time. And then I don't think we really missed a beat afterwards. I would have liked Turi on this play to be goal side of Peter, but he cuts in front of him. Peter Wilson was a golden boot winner last year. He knows how to put himself in a position to score, much like Devon Sandoval did back in the day. And so he makes a good run and positions himself properly there. And the ball finds him somehow off of a fantastic save from Shakes. And that really, at that moment, I think, I don't know how you guys felt, but at that moment, watching the match before they scored, I'm like, we're gonna at least tie it up. Like we're gonna have a chance here. Was that a Guinness, Devon Sandoval? No.
Yeah, I mean,
no. What you're drinking, was it a Guinness?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Okay, good. St. Patrick's Day. Good.
It is indeed.
And so I thought we were going to at least tie it up. And then when they scored, it was kind of like, well, shit, like, what are we going to do here? But we give ourselves a chance. Lakava, fantastic play. I tell you, this attacking core, I mean, we're like 8-9 deep up there, and they all look like they're capable of magical moments like this. Renix and Lakava teaming up there. And then, I mean, Lakava replaced who I thought was our best player in the first half, was Niall Reed, Steven. And so to have that kind of depth out there on the right, and then centrally with with Renix and Archmed and Hurst, I mean, it's kind of insane, and it's kind of baffling how we didn't score at least one more here. But it definitely moments of positivity and a good first match and a good start to the season, much like last year, right? We lose last year against Sacramento in Sacramento to open the season. There was a dubious red card in that one, of course, but it was very much like hey, we're kind of dominating even though we're down a man. And then they get, wouldn't say fluky, but a goal that was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
And so similar to last year. And so I'm not concerned whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, overall, from what I saw, I was pretty happy, and, it was an entertaining game. We're not just passing the ball 100 times for no reason. There's intent, and they're aggressive, and they're not afraid to shoot outside the box, and, play the ball forward into their strikers. And
Christina's happy to hear that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Devon, I've been saying for years, shoot out from outside the box, shoot the ball.
Yeah, me too.
Dev, let me ask you something here on this distribution after this save by Shakes. I mean, this is something we never really saw Alex or Cody do a whole lot of. How much of a difference does that make as compared to a goalie just playing the ball out or playing it short, when you can throw the ball on like that?
I mean, I'm in favor of, quick ball out or being a little more direct and going long. I do not like when a team or player or a coach makes a team play short, and you want to play these like short passes out the back every single time, and it's super predictable, and the other team knows it, the fans know it, like everybody knows it. So I'm in favor of going long, every once in a while and opening the game. especially in a moment of transition like that. It was on, and it changes the momentum a little bit in that moment.
So Devon, I didn't get to watch the game, but I did check just the different socials to see the reactions later that night when I got home, and it seemed overall across the board, people were, even though we lost, people were just really excited. They liked what they saw. They felt like it's a good sign for great things to come.
Yeah,
I was personally excited to see Lukava part of that goal. I was really liking him preseason. So I thought, all right, I'm excited to see this guy play.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him too. I really don't. I don't know much about him. Was he at San Antonio last year? Or where
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember him, but in his time on the field, he was impactful, and he's quick, he's dynamic. He had some good qualities that made me excited. And then that goal. What was the goal scorer? Renix.
Justin Renix.
Same with him. He came onto the field, and you could see he was composed, and had some quality about him. So definitely some exciting and positive takeaways from the game for me.
Yeah, Lukava's a guy that he came into the league a few years ago with Charleston and kind of was on loan there, but he really broke out with Tampa about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Spent a couple years in Tampa, and then a couple years in San Antonio, and he's a guy that I've always thought pretty highly of, but the production hasn't always been there. And we've got a guy that frequents the show. He comes on during our season preview, and he's usually in the chat if he's available. And he's a San Antonio fan. His name's Harry Austin. And when we got Lukava this year, he was like, "Well, good luck." Like he's just kind of a guy. But in talking to Lukava this preseason, and then seeing what people have told me from preseason matches, and from what I saw last night, I'm pretty excited about him. And if he can reach like Tampa Bay level Lukava, then we got a steal, I think. And so,
how old is he?
That was a fantastic question. Producer Seth will get on that and let us know. I already saw him typing away. He's still relatively young,
25.
So he's got some room. So Mike over in the chat as well with the answer. Speaking of San Antonio, so Oakland, I think we'll all agree, positives take away. Unlucky result to an extent. Wish we could have done a little bit better there, but I was at the watch party at Rio Bravo, and it was a blast. They have an outdoor space there that they were showing the matches. Plus, you could go inside. And I took my kids. I don't usually take all my kids because I have a little basketball team that I travel around with, and so it can be a little daunting for me to go to a brewery with my kids. But going there was fun. They had plenty of space. My kids ran around. They played some pinball. We got some root beer floats. I picked up this sweet kit, and the atmosphere was pretty good too. So, but Oakland's done with. We move on to 2 matches this week. We get an Open Cup match tomorrow night. The Open Cup did start tonight. There are matches going on as we speak. So far, no big upsets, but we get that
Hearts
starting
of Pine
tomorrow.
lost.
Yeah, Hearts of Pine lost.
Yeah, but Vermont Green's like a decent, like known entity kind of club. So sorry, Shadow Wolf, for disparaging your Hearts of Pine. I didn't say they were bad. I just said not as big of an upset as some of the other ones could have been. Sorry. But we start our chase for the cup tomorrow night. Devon, you were a part of the 2019 Magical Run, and you've been around American soccer for a lot longer than any of us have. So, what does the Open Cup mean to you personally, and what did that run mean, and what do you expect this club to do in the Open Cup this year, or what would you like to see them do in the Open Cup this year?
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to take it back all the way, 2013 was my first year with Salt Lake, and experiencing the Open Cup, and for me that was a really important moment in my career, because when you're with an MLS club, usually that's when they're giving some of the younger guys an opportunity, and I think it was like third round, or whatever it was, third, fourth round. We had 2 games that were really close, and I scored both games and scored a brace in one, and ended up playing a big role in the Open Cup, and it just helped me, solidify my spot on the team. And that year we ended up actually losing in the final to DC United when we were top or second at the table, and DC United was literally last. And we played them at home, and it was the worst game I'd ever seen. Like, the veterans on my team play, like guys that played in the World Cup and like big time MLS players. So that was a bummer. But still, being on that side of it as an MLS player and it helping me establish myself, it was really important in that capacity. Fast forward to 2019 to our first Open Cup. You're on the other side of it where if you win, you could play against an MLS club, and it really means a lot. So I can't remember who we played first. Maybe it was like Colorado Switchbacks or something.
I think it was Phoenix to start with.
Phoenix. Oh yeah, because Josh played me that ball.
Yeah,
that was cool. That was a good ball from Josh. And then obviously, if we're gonna really get into it, Phoenix is always a rival. So having that first Open Cup game be against Phoenix was awesome, and to beat them at their place. And then to go on, and then I think we beat Switchbacks, and then it was the Rapids away. And for me personally, I felt I had a lot to prove. Being a former MLS player, and I know there was other guys on the team that had felt like they had something to prove, and we made a really special moment happen that game, and then continued that against FC Dallas. Wish we could have made it a little further, done a little better against Minnesota, but it was still special nonetheless. So, for me, the Open Cup is always a really big tournament. It's really special, especially being able to experience it kind of on both sides.
I'll tell you that the Minnesota match when Santi scored to put us up early.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
What, Chinky?
Mm-hmm.
I was at Civic Center in downtown where they had the big watch party, and the place erupted when Santi scored. It got a little quieter after that, obviously, but it was still a pretty magical moment. And then of course we have the run a couple years ago as well. So I think when you ask 2019 me, who was just into soccer, thanks to you and New Mexico United, I was like, like when we started that run, we were in first, and then when we finished that run, we were fighting for a playoff spot, and so I was a little disappointed. But now, taking a step back and realizing what good it did for the growth of the club, and like the notoriety that we gained from it, and just the excitement that it built in the fan base, and what it means to be a couple of MLS squads and get to travel to Minnesota. And the team does a fantastic job of letting it be accessible for us to go to those things. I was me and Christina both were one of the ones that went to LA when they started that plane. Christina, you went to Minnesota too, didn't you?
I did. I was one of the lucky few.
And so
much fun. Yeah, I remember even after the match, just getting to meet all of the Minnesota fans, and they were just so complimentary of the squad and of the fans and the club in general, and just, yeah, such a blast. I remember being on the light rail heading from the bar to the stadium and seeing people riding the scooters with their New Mexico Zia state flags, like capes, and just taking over downtown St. Paul.
Yeah. Shout out Jeff Gremmer, who has the theory of New Mexicans can't go to a big sporting event without a New Mexico flag. Even if a New Mexico team's not involved, you still have to take a flag. So, yeah, that checks out.
Yep. We when I was in 2017, when I was playing in San Francisco, we hosted the final, and sure enough, there was like a New Mexico flag, Zia flag out there. Everywhere.
Everywhere indeed. So we kick off this year. We play a Cruisers FC team that I know very little about. I planned on researching them. I did because I try to be professional on this show.
They're not even on the NPSL website.
Yeah, I try to be professional, but as you can tell with two kids that have already interrupted me tonight, it's not always possible. So I still think with what I saw Saturday, even if we have our second stringers, quote unquote, in, I think it is a match that we should cruise to a victory in, pun fully intended. And then after that, we'll play probably another USL champion team if they do regionally, because we are destined to play El Paso, Phoenix, and Colorado Springs as many times as humanly possible, as long as all of us are still a club. And so, but then after that, we'll get to MLS, and then who knows? Christina, what are you looking for Wednesday, tomorrow night, and how do we make a run this year as opposed to last year when we lost to the team that I'm not going to name?
Well, it snuck up on me.
Yeah,
I did not. I was
right?
like, whoa, there's an open cut match tomorrow. I expect us to push to make that run, especially after having Pete on the pod, and he's, when given the choice of what he wants to see us win, Open Cup is his number one. So, that's the message that the guys are getting, and no time but now, right?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, you're saying they're playing like a lower league team, and might be guys who weren't playing on the weekend or a couple of them, but that's a big opportunity for them, to show that they belong and show that they should be, getting first team minutes or championship minutes. And, you can't take it lightly, because this is the biggest game of the year for the other team. So big opportunity to show what they can do, and big opportunity for people to step up as leaders.
Yeah, and we've seen more of these matches against some lower league, lower division clubs. Lubbock Matadors come to mind a couple years ago, and that's an organization that they played us relatively tough. It was 0-0 at halftime. We're able to get 3 goals pretty quickly in succession in the second half, but they definitely didn't take us lightly. And we didn't have like a roster full of academy kids out there starting either. Like it was a ton of first teamers that get regular minutes, and they still played us really tough for that first half. And I mean, the goals that they gave up, it was Akale with one screamer from a free kick that, I mean, that has nothing to do with, that wasn't a goal that they gave up because they're a younger, less experienced team. That was just an absolute banger from him. And so it's definitely you better not take them lightly, but if you go out and handle business, it should be a win, and you're moving on. And if you're, like you said, Devon, a player that doesn't get first team minutes very often, I think we might see that Cam Wilkerson, who just signed a 25-day contract, I think we might see him specifically for this match. I think he might have been signed as a 25-day contract to give our midfield a break tomorrow, if all things go well in the first half anyways, and they don't have to come in. And so I'm excited for it. I won't be able to go to it or attend it, unfortunately. But I'll be watching on YouTube for sure. And then we'll play. I think it's the week after that we play already again, if I remember correctly. So hopefully another deep run is in the works. And I really wish we would play somebody besides El Paso or Phoenix in the second round.
Yeah, I agree with that. Honestly, my favorite part of Open Cup are the upsets. I think that's just the most fun. I love
as long as it's not us, though, right? or not us when we're the favorite, anyways.
Yes and no. Okay. If we were gonna lose, I would want to lose to, a team that's the underdog, and then see them just really like take it and run with it.
That's fair. I don't want to see us lose, but that would be a decent take. And I love it when we upset somebody. That's the best. The Real Salt Lake game there at the lab was fantastic when we played them. What did you attend that match, Dev?
Yeah,
were you there for that match?
That was a cool match for me because
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They let me do the first kick, and there's still people in Salt Lake that I played with that are involved with the club, and even maybe one player, Justin Glad. That was cool. That was a really cool moment.
Yeah, so looking ahead to the weekend, we talked a little bit about Cruisers FC. I think we're all expecting United to come out tomorrow night. And by the way, folks, if you're going to be in the area tomorrow night, the pit's going to be rocking. UNM Soccer Complex is rocking. You've got NIT basketball tomorrow night. You've got US Open Cup tomorrow night as well. So make sure you get there and get your parking early. Because that's going to be just a crazy area tomorrow. But looking ahead to
what time's
7:30.
No, kids' bedtime is at 8. That's
Mine should be in bed at 8. They obviously are not tonight, but yeah.
Kickoff's at 7:30. Tip-off is at 7. So it's gonna be a very busy evening. But looking ahead, we've got San Antonio at the weekend. Still not home yet for the USL Championship season. Dev, talk to us a little bit about your experiences with the San Antonio club and what you've had, facing them in the past, and how they've continued to be successful over the years.
I mean, they've done a lot right. I mean, first of all, they have like the investment, of a stadium, and they have their own place, and it's a beautiful pitch, beautiful stadium. That in itself attracts players. And then, they've had good leadership. Alan Marcina, he was there for a handful of years, and I played under him for a few months on loan, and he knows what he wants. He's a hard coach, but he knows exactly what he wants, and he knows how to win. And I think that's what you saw from them for a lot of years under him. They're in San Antonio. They weren't playing the most beautiful football ever, but it was effective and it was physical. And it doesn't have to be beautiful to win. You just have to win the game. So, whenever we played them, we always knew it was going to be a battle. It was going to be a tough game. If you're in San Antonio, not only because of the way they play, but because of the humidity, it's going to be hot. It's going to be a hard game. It's a full-size field. When we have them here, whenever we had anybody here, we try to take advantage of the altitude and being at home with our fans. But San Antonio was a tough one. But like the first thing that comes to mind against playing against them is Bees scoring that goal in overtime and knocking them out. So that's the moment that'll stick with me.
If Harry was here, Harry would contend that was a handball. From your vantage,
I don't think so.
Okay.
Neither do we, Devon.
We don't either. So, I was going to ask, what from your vantage point on the pitch, what did that look like for you? So, was that a handball? I don't think Bees would ever admit to it one way or the other, but
I think it was a really well taken ball, a great touch and turn, and good finish.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think that's the match where they had the drive-in. So we were out at the old drive-in close out to Santa Fe, and it was so much fun. Yeah,
cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So last year we played San Antonio a lot, but we did end up having their number in most of those matches. But they were all very entertaining. A couple of comebacks, a couple of one went to PKs, and then of course we beat them in the playoffs as well. So, and that one was probably the least suspenseful one of all of them, and which was good for my heart because playoff matches and me, I get a little worked up. So it was nice to just win that one and put it away. But it's a very different team this year. They didn't bring back as many players. The back line is still pretty formidable. Tainter's still back there. That's a guy that has ruffled some feathers in New Mexico, to say the least. What was it like playing against him, Dev, since he is one of the players that I believe was still there back then?
Yeah, I mean, he was always physical. Not my favorite player to play against. There's players that you play against sometimes that are physical, and it's like, it's respectful and it's a good battle. him, it was never really fun. I don't really have a lot of nice things to say. So
you heard it here first, guys. Dirty player, that Tainter.
I mean, I wouldn't say dirty, but I just I think everybody knows what type of player he is when you watch him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's gonna get into you. He's gonna try to piss you off, and a lot of people it works. And he's a hell of a talent. I mean, he was a USL Player of the Year at one point, and I mean Player of the Year, not Defender of the Year, but Player of the Year one time. So he is a huge talent, a player that I feel like he's one of those that if he's on your team, you freaking love him, and then if he's on somebody else's team and you're playing against him, you can't stand him. And so he's been a player that I've watched for quite a while, and the fact that he's still playing and at a pretty high level, mind you, it's a testament to him and that organization and keeping him healthy, and they have a couple former hold on they have a couple former United players over there. Alexi Swahi's over there, Nikki Hernandez is over there, so couple guys that we're pretty familiar with. It should be a good one. It usually is. I love when we play them, giving Harry a hard time, especially last year when we kind of had their number throughout the season. So, Christina, what are you expecting right now? San Antonio, they drew last week with FC Tulsa in Tulsa. Can you go bug Mama first before you come bug me, please? Thank you.
And they won
Mama
this weekend, right?
No, that was this weekend. They won last weekend.
Okay,
they beat Phoenix week 1. And then they drew against Tulsa. So they're 1-0 is what I would say. I think USL lists it as 1-0-1, but that's a discussion for later. So they have the talent. They bring in some talent. It should be a good game. Christina, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, first, my brain is hyper focused on trying to remember. Was it San Antonio where we were all up in arms and thought that a player spit on you, Devon?
Yeah, it was
Tanner. Yeah, that was what I was alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
So, okay, dirty taint does sound appropriate, Josh.
I believe you set the record straight, though, Dev. He did not spit on you, though, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not intentionally. Okay. If he did, he just yelled "F you."
I was pretty sure you said
"F your hair." So
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will definitely go down in the history books of United history, Devon.
Yeah.
But San Antonio is always a good, guaranteed to be a good battle. I think back to 2019 with that Cinco de Mayo match. I mean, that's the biggest crowd that we've had to date. And that sort of kicked off our interactions with San Antonio. And like Devon said, they have a really nice stadium, beautiful stadium. Seems like they're having a better attendance with fans. So it should be a pretty intense atmosphere for United to go into. They've got a game on us. So I think, we're still going to be working on getting our bearings. So last match, I guess that it would be a draw, because I was expecting us to kind of be still getting things going, and it felt like there was a lot of players out with injury. I wouldn't be surprised if it was another high scoring sort of draw or a battle to the dying moments.
Yeah, San Antonio is always tough. I feel like if they were closer, they'd be the rival, right? Because, like you said, Dev, they're a physical club. They've always been physical. They've always typically had size on us, no matter who we've put out there. And the matches have always been highly entertaining. And we've obviously developed a great relationship with Harry and some other folks throughout the San Antonio community. I think this is going to be more of a test for us than Oakland was, because I think this is the first time you may actually see a full first team in my opinion. Like, I think what we threw out there on Saturday against Oakland was solid, right? But I think that you've got guys who are coming back from injury. Kip Keller, obviously, was still, he played, I think it was 60 minutes on Saturday. So I felt like we wouldn't see him for more than 60 or 70 anyway. So getting back into the full swing, and there's a difference. I said it last week, there's a difference in match fit and training. So I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I think we have to test them from outside. We've had success from that position before, and you have to really force whoever their starting keeper is into making decisions, and hopefully make a mistake. Speaking of Harry, there he is. Harry's over in the chat. How you doing, Harry? Welcome on. And we say your name enough times and you appear. So, yeah, glad to have you, Harry. If you got any questions for Dev, go ahead and throw them out. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. But yeah, I mean, Dev, when you look at this year's squad, when you look at San Antonio, who stands out for you? Is there like a key matchup in this one that you want to see that you think that we could possibly get the better of?
I mean, I don't know their roster like that well to say that. But I mean, what's Nicky Hernandez?
Mm-hmm.
If he's on the field, he's always dangerous. And like, that was one for me that got away. I wish he was still here. From my perspective, he was an unselfish player, and he was he created things, and he's really high level technical player. And he can make something happen. So I'm always looking out for him, and that's funny. I would keep an eye out for him if he's on the field always.
Yeah, Nicky quickly became a fan favorite over here, and he was definitely one of the players that we hoped would come back. Jacob and I were both real big on Alexi a couple years ago, before we let him go. And I think there's a couple missed opportunities, but at the same time, we've brought guys over from San Antonio as well that have done well here also. But yeah, you look at San Antonio, they brought back Christian Pirano again. They brought back, Patino again. So they're not without attacking options, and they're a team that does like to get the ball forward. And, again, I'm expecting a truly physical matchup on Saturday, more so than what you saw out of Oakland or really anyone else. And, this is one that, Harry is really hoping to try to get some revenge from last year in. So
I've got kids going crazy in the background, so I'm gonna make this quick. We have actually won the last 6 matchups with San Antonio, and they have not beat us since 2023. So Harry wants to make up for more than just last year. To me, the 2 players are Jorge Hernandez, the other Hernandez in the midfield, who was Player of the Year one year and is just a awesome all-around midfielder. And then Mikey Maldonado, another midfielder that I think I'm pretty high on, or that I am pretty high on, that came over from North Carolina. And to me, that midfield is going to be what kind of dictates this. If we let those 2 players run rampant over us, then it could be a long night. But if whoever is in the midfield, whether it's Zalalem, Jabang, Bailey, Noel, whoever is there, if they can do their job and control that midfield, then I think we have a pretty good chance of walking away there with 3 points. I also think we're going to come out hungry after the Oakland match, and I think in most of these players' heads, it's like, hey, San Antonio is somebody that we kind of control all the time. It's like Colorado Springs when Devon was playing. We just kind of had their number. And with that, while she is continuing to get louder and louder, I will step back for a few minutes till we deal with that. But yeah, I think we win.
There he is, David. We see Carl over in the chat with the only appropriate comment of the night, the GOAT. David, hope you're doing well. Hope you and Chanel are both doing well. I know you've been very, very busy this year, and we miss you. We hope you're doing well. I mean, Dev, let's step away a little bit from San Antonio. Obviously, you've been gone a couple years now. The last of the OGs is gone now that Brucey's retired. What's life been like for you since stepping away from the pitch? How have things changed? How is life for you?
Yeah, life's good. Can't really complain. My kids keeping me busy. That's priority number one. And yeah, definitely what's keeping me busy. I help coach my daughter's team, and her coach just recently had ACL surgery a few weeks ago, so I had to step up and take over for a couple weeks. But just fun. Coaching 7, 8-year-olds is challenging to say the least, but I've grown to really enjoy it, and yeah, that's a lot of fun. And my little guy, he's playing. I'm not coaching him, but just enjoying watching from the side right now, and playing with him. And but yeah, so kids are keeping me busy. Really kind of enjoyed doing things that I sacrificed for a long time. Like I hadn't snowboarded for 13 years. Stopped skateboarding in high school, more or less. And, just it's been awesome being able to do things that, like I said, like I sacrificed for a long time. So yes, almost 8. And then, yeah, work-wise, I'm doing medical sales, orthopedic medical sales. So it's been 3 years already, which is crazy. But that's going really well, and I'm fortunate to be with a really good company and surrounded by good people on the regular. So that's been awesome. It's also been cool to see the guys who have left United, get into that field after as well. Josh Suggs, he's killing it. Harry got into it for a little bit at Ford. It's yeah, life's been good. Can't complain too much.
We've recently had Wehan and Ryden on the pod, and they both kind of talked about like that transition period between like, okay, I'm retired now. Now, like, what, how do I handle that drive to want to compete, and how do I get comfortable stepping away from the game that presumably you guys have been playing since you were your kid's age, right? And so you are a little farther along in that journey. Did you have the same kind of experience when you first retired of like the transition period that was a little more difficult, and when did you kind of settle into, yeah, I'm fully comfortable with this? Because we know yours was kind of like Wehan's. It was more forced than like Ryden, where it was kind of on his own terms, or at least that's what it seemed like from the outside.
Yeah, so, I mean, mine was interesting. I'd come back from the heart situation, and actually that year, like, I felt like I was playing some of the best football I've ever played. I just didn't really get an opportunity to show it. And, at the end of the year, I went into the off season with the intention to have something lined up just in case it didn't work out, and an opportunity presented itself that was, it felt like it was like God saying, like, here you go. It opened the doors, and I felt like it was the right move for me and my family at the time. And then so my transition it was actually like really smooth. I had a really strong support system in terms of family, and then kind of fell into a group of friends through my daughter's softball team, and like kind of leaned on them, and fell in love with skateboarding again, and that was able to kind of scratch my athletic itch a little bit, snowboarding and skateboarding and snowboarding, and and then getting into medical sales. It's a career that's you have to be fully invested in, and for me to do something, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to give it my all, and do it right. And in this career, it is a sales job, but there's also an element of service and being in the operating room, and I still get that kind of high, or whatever you want to call it, that you would from the game, in some of those moments. It's just a different kind of game,
Yeah.
So I've been really, really fortunate. I would say like 98% of the time, like since I've retired, I've been really, really happy and really, 100% like behind my decision to step away. But there's still moments where you miss the game or you miss certain aspects of it. But overall, I'm pretty fortunate. I was also really fortunate that early on in my career, when I was in Salt Lake, there was players on the team that were veterans and really smart individuals, and they would tell me and younger guys like there's always going to be an end to this. No matter how much money you make, no matter how good you are, there's always going to be an end. So keep your head on a swivel and prepare for life after football. So I had that in my mind from year one, 2013. Like, what am I gonna do? And at the time, I had no idea. Like, would I be in football, which I'm not opposed to either. But I had no idea what I wanted. And medical sales was always kind of in the back of my mind. And as my career progressed, I kind of just explored that and worked towards that. And yeah, here we are.
Nice. Well, I love hearing stories of you guys, getting out and still being happy and successful, and not, you hear horror stories from other professional athletes of, they get out and then they don't know what to do. They don't know, they don't have any money left. Somehow they don't have a backup plan, and they just kind of dwindle to not great places. And so, we've talked about it before. Like, I just mentioned 3 players that played for New Mexico United that retired from New Mexico United, but there's even more, right? Brucey is another one. Salih Muhammad's another one. Suggs is another one. Like, there's a ton of you guys that,
David Estrada.
Yeah, for sure, that have finished your careers here. And it just seems like it's a good place to hang it up. And whether you stick around like you and David and Brucey and others, don't worry, Josh, I have it on my phone right here. I saw it. Don't worry. And so it's nice to hear that so many of you guys are still connected in some way, shape, or form as well, and then also doing good. You mentioned skateboarding earlier, though. You made an appearance in the Black Kit release video with Nava there at the end. Why were you not one of the skateboarders in that video?
I wasn't called up, which is totally understandable. I mean, when you got, what is it, the Duran brothers? Yeah, those guys are.
I mean, we could have had you at least like skate through the frame. Like, you don't have to do a trick. You could have at least just made an appearance on the skateboard.
If I was doing something cool.
Okay, so. Fair enough. Good.
Maybe down the road, we'll see.
So go ahead, Seth. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to go back even a little bit further here as well. Obviously talk about starting your career. I think it was around 2018. You joined Atlanta United, played for the Twos, did decently well over. That's where I first found out who you were, because I wasn't familiar with Lobo soccer. And then you get announced as the first signing ever in club history for New Mexico. How did that come about? How did you connect with Troy? I think you might have actually been announced before Troy.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you connect it with Pete and Ron? Is it through the Soul and the UNM connection, or what was that like for you coming back to New Mexico?
So I was in Atlanta. Actually, going into that season, I'd heard kind of rumblings about a potential club, coming to New Mexico, and I don't remember who was telling me that. It might have been Fishbein, but I just made it known, like, if it happens, I'd would most likely want to be involved in it. And I actually for sure wanted to be involved with it, because at that point I'd already been involved with, when I went on loan with Oklahoma, then San Francisco Deltas, then Atlanta United 2. So 3 expansion clubs in 3 years. And so I was able to see what second division soccer in the U.S. was, and it can be crazy. It can be terrible, but it could also be really cool. So I just knew if it was coming to, New Mexico, coming to my home, I wanted to be a part of it either way, because I could at least influence it if it's not good. I want to say Peter reached out to me probably in like April I had signed with Atlanta in March, and then he reached out to me in April. Yeah, it was pretty. He actually flew out to Atlanta, and that spoke a lot to me, and made me feel comfortable about getting to know him and what he was trying to do. And Atlanta was really supportive of it, which was cool. And, it didn't affect my playing time or anything, which is, you don't really ever see that, like a player signing with another club already signed, playing with the club. So I'm grateful to them. So basically Peter reached out to me. I don't know who told him about me. I'm sure, I bet if I had to guess, it was Ron. And, I think the Garcia brothers had a big role in that as well. I guess fast forward to June and, the opening or the unveiling of USL New Mexico. And that was before Troy was even there. So interesting. It was cool.
Yeah. So essentially the face of the club, prior to us getting a coach. And how did you get connected with Troy then? Was that a meeting through Peter? Did you guys talk before Troy was hired on? And talk about going into that first season? What were your expectations of working with Troy and Peter and just getting the club off the ground?
Peter was awesome. I didn't know anything about Troy until he reached out to me. I think they had already signed him. I knew who it was between Troy, and it was actually one of my former coaches, to be the head coach in New Mexico United. And, they went with Troy. He reached out to me. He was super professional, but I did not trust him, just, based off my experiences. And, he turned out to be, pretty good guy for the job. Brought on some good players. I think there was a lot of growing pains that first year. With him as a first-year head coach, and then he had a lot on his plate as a GM or technical director as well. He was signing all the players and dealing with contracts and being a head coach. That's a lot, but I think overall he handled it well. That first year, a lot of special moments. I think what held us back was the depth of our team. I think we probably had like 12 or 13 guys that were good, and you need a lot more than that to really make a run. And like Jacob, you're talking about that Open Cup run and, being in first, and then, by the end of it, we were fighting for a playoff spot. I think that had a large part to do with it. I think the maturity of Kavan at that point, he was so up and down. If he could have been more consistent, we would have probably been in a better spot. I think Troy had a little bit to do with that, but overall Troy did a really good job setting the foundation of who New Mexico United is, and you can still feel his fingertips on his fingerprints on the team today.
Yeah, we've talked about it with every player that we've had on, and even Itamar and a couple of the coaches. We've had Prince on, and we've had Sanchez on. We didn't get Eric Quill on, to nobody's surprise, but we've talked to all of them about it, and it definitely feels like yes, that club was not nearly as deep as clubs now. But I also don't feel like most clubs were as deep as they are now. I feel like the league overall is a lot deeper and a lot better quality. And so when I look at that first year team, like there's a ton of guys that are going to hold a special place in my heart as a fan, just because they were a part of such an awesome season where, as a native New Mexican that is a huge sports fan. I wasn't necessarily a soccer fan, but a huge sports fan and a proud New Mexican. It was awesome to see something like that come into play. I remember seeing a poster with you on it, actually, with the schedule. And at the time I was delivering bread up in Rio Rancho, and saw that in the back room of a Smith's and was like, hey, what's this? And then one of the other bread guys was a big soccer fan. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, like, what can you tell me? Like, what's New Mexico United? Who's this Devon Sandoval? What do you think? And he told me about it, and I said, well, let's go get season tickets. And so and then I had the pleasure of sitting down and interviewing you in the first year when we had the newspaper. And so just that whole year from beginning to end was just so magical that I'm not going to forget, Kenny Akamatsu and Ethan Sampson and Tony Solar and Josh Goss and all these names that didn't really play a whole lot for us because, like you said, they just weren't up to the caliber that they might have needed to be. But then you turn around and we talk about the depth that we have this year, and you're replacing, your starters with guys like Justin Rennicks and Jake LaCava, who have the talent as we saw in that goal. There are cool stories like Astorga, who kind of comes out of nowhere, but he came on, and I believe that was 23 or 24 when he really came. I think it was 24 when he really came on and signed a 25-day contract from the U23s. Then all of a sudden was pretty much our starting right back through that whole season. Yeah. But he showed that he could perform at that level that he needed to perform. And so that's hilarious, David. And so there's definitely a different quality in the league right now than there was in year one. And I'm sure you as a player coming up had to see that, right? Like, just the difference from then to now.
I definitely think overall it's better. There's more quality. I am on kind of more of the side because the club I played for in Salt Lake, and then the NASL is, I don't know if you know much about the NASL, but the NASL, even though there wasn't a lot of teams, the teams that were playing invested too much in the players that they had. That's why it failed. But like the team I played with in Oklahoma had like 8 World Cup veteran players on it. And like a lot of the teams were like that. So I think the level in San Francisco is very similar. So I think the level of USL is now getting towards that. Oh, hi. Which is awesome. You want the highest level. It's good for American soccer. It's good for our local guys who are getting the opportunity to play. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think overall the level has improved. It's improved a lot. I think for me, there was a big switch, if we're just speaking about New Mexico United, when Eric took over. I mean, when Zach was our coach, the year I played, we had a lot of depth, but it just was mismanaged. But when Eric took over, I remember I was saying there's like 2% of the time where I was like, I miss playing. When he took over, that was one of the moments, because you could see right away just the way we played was so much more free and more aggressive. And he did say he brought in a couple of players, and I know he wasn't everybody's favorite, but he lit a fire under the guys, and they played a really fun style of soccer, at least to watch. And then I think Dennis kind of carried that over last year, and it's a more visually appealing style of soccer that I'm seeing now from New Mexico United the last 2 years, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Quill was one of our favorites because we went from Troy and Zach, who were very like media trained and answered questions very politically correct. For lack of a better term. And then Quill got in there, and we were like, Quill, what'd you think about the game? Shit, it was shit. We sucked. We didn't, or it was awesome. We did this, and so he was a blast to interview, anyways. But he definitely was more demanding, it seemed like, and from what I understood from the players that we've been able to talk to about that, most of them loved it. Honestly, most of them felt like it was kind of what was needed, and kind of like you said with Quill and Troy, it kind of seemed like they welcomed the change from the more late. I don't even know how to describe it. Just they welcomed the like, hey, no, you're going to get your shit together and you're going to do this. Otherwise, you're not going to play. And we're going to play this style because this is what, I mean, I don't know how many times, Seth, did we hear Quill say, these fans are coming and paying $20 and we want to make sure they feel like they're leaving with their money's worth. I mean, he said that constantly to us. And I feel like for the most part, that's how it worked, and we did, and he did bring in guys like Nicky Hernandez and Acobo Reyes, who shout out jersey right there. And so I'm missing a couple spots. I've been wearing those jerseys now, so I had to take them down, and I forgot to put them back up for today. But so just stuff like that he did seem to. I think when you look at United as a whole from beginning to end, so for beginning to now, Troy came in and did a good job of like kind of setting the base standard, and then I think they wanted to give Prince a chance. I think they probably felt like he deserved it with what he did under Quill, or under Troy. But then they realized, hey, like we need another step. We need another step. And I think Quill and Sanchez both have kind of continued to try to raise the level, as well as, we had Peter on this offseason, and he talked about how, we're still bottom third as far as what we spend on the roster, but it's gotten more and more and more every year. And I think that the depth and the talent that we have kind of bears that out. And so it's exciting to see. And this year is no different. As we talked about in the Oakland match, I think the quality was there. We just got to finish and get healthier a little bit, and we'll see some gains there. I want to ask you, we kind of talked about you first signing, but I was there the night that you scored the first goal, opening night against Fresno, and that place erupted, and it was just so fitting that it was from you and Christina. It was outside the box. It was a shot from outside the box, and so
I can always count on Devon for that.
There's two moments from that season that I want to talk to you about. That one's the first one. So what that opening goal, the first goal in New Mexico United history, in front of that stadium, what did that mean to you, and kind of take us through that moment?
Yeah, I mean that moment, that was a cool moment for sure. Definitely one of the highlights of my career. That game was ugly. It was you could tell people were nervous, and people, like, our team couldn't connect more than like 3 or 4 passes at a time, and so in that aspect it was really frustrating. And I don't remember if we scored first or second, but I think we scored first, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But it's tough with a brand new team. Brand new team's first real game we play together, and emotions are really high. That was probably the biggest crowd 95% of those guys have ever played in. So emotions were high, but yeah, I mean, I remember that moment very vividly. Schmitty playing the ball out to Santi and him playing with the outside of his foot. Was it to Josh? And which was a really, really nice ball, by the way. And then Josh getting the ball, and I had dropped into that pocket, and I was calling for it for a second, and he was dribbling, and he finally gave it to me. And I had my mind made up before he even gave me the ball. Like, if he gives me this ball, I'm gonna shoot. And I always give him a hard time about this, and I always put him on blast for this. But when he passed me the ball, when he gave me the ball, he was telling me to pass it on. So I love giving him shit about that. But yeah, I had my mind made up, and just strike through it, lace it, and pretty much knew right when it went off my foot that it was going home. And yeah, it was after that, the celebration, and that was a cool moment. I love looking back at the pictures and seeing how much it meant to, like, to Josh. You could see, like, his passion, and he was a very passionate person, and you could feel that in that moment. And
Suggs passionate? No.
Yeah. And then after we scored, I remember telling everybody to calm down because everybody was so frantic during the game. And then I think after that was when we threw up the 505, and that was definitely a cool moment. Like to see that moment every once in a while.
Quickly, Brandon Ortega over in the chat. Brandon, thanks for popping in. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a minute. So, but yeah, I've spent, I think, 2 nights watching United as a fan in the stands. The rest of the time I've been media, and that match, it was the first football match I'd ever seen in person. I only seen stuff on TV, and so that was such a fun night. It really was, and that was what really, because I was in Atlanta I lived in Atlanta, grew up in Atlanta, missed the launch of the club there. I was here, right? And when they announced USL New Mexico, I said, I'm all in. I'm going to support this club from day one. And then seeing, the connection of you coming in, former Lobo, former Atlanta United guy, I'm like, okay, like I'm ready for this, right? But no, that was that night, and I think the Cinco de Mayo match are probably the two loudest times I've ever heard the Lab. And I don't think it's ever reached that level again.
No. Thank you, Seth, because my next moment, the two goals that I think about when I think of 2019 was the first goal. And then I think of that Cinco de Mayo match, and that was right after Schmidt's dad. We had lost Schmidt's dad in the car accident. And Freighter does Freighter things and puts a guy in a spin cycle a couple times and then delivers a beautiful ball across to you, and you tap it into the back post, and then right away you go to the armband that you guys had on for Schmitty. And so what about that moment? And these kids, what was that moment like for you? And also, like, those are my special moments from that year. Do those kind of rank at least at or near the top for you in 2019, or is there something else that I'm missing?
I mean, that first goal for sure. The Cinco de Mayo one. I mean, now that you remind me of all the, factors behind it, it definitely was a special goal. Just when Kev was on or doing his thing, like, he did special things, and we played really well together, and I knew what he was capable of, and I could put myself in the best position to score, and that's what that goal was. That was all Kev, and then me just tapping it in, being in a good spot, and there's obviously a lot of emotion in that for Justin, and we were a pretty tight team, and just trying to support him as best we could and let him know we were there for him. So yeah, that was a cool moment. And Cinco de Mayo night, I remember everybody having those flags. Those flags were awesome, by the way. I think they had the sugar skulls on them, and that was cool. Other moments in that first year that were special, we talked about a little bit about the header against Phoenix in the Open Cup, because that was the first Open Cup goal. Specifically that goal, Josh and me came off the bench together at the same time, and that was our first involvement in the game. That was his first touch on the ball, playing the cross, and that was my first touch, scoring the goal. And that ball actually got lost in the light, and I remember thinking like, oh shit. And just told myself, just trust yourself and trust your instinct, and just went for it. And then, scoring against the Rapids, that being the first MLS goal. And then for me, for other, reasons, just saying yeah, that was, I belong here. And then what else? I think, did I score? The hat trick was a great night. That was a cool night because it was Pat Grange night, and he was somebody that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
One of the goals was honestly one of my favorite goals of the season. I think maybe Josh tried crossing the ball in with his left foot, and I just anticipated it being short, and he didn't hit it well. And so I dropped off onto the top of the 18, and the defender kind of was a really bad shit clearance, and he hit it to me, and I one time volleyed it with the outside of my foot and went in off the post. And I had just always wanted to score a goal like that, one time volley, outside the 18. So that was cool. Phoenix, I think we might have tied them that game at home, but scored a volley with my left foot. And then I think the bike that I scored against Oklahoma, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that one was cool.
There were a handful of moments, like personally for me as a striker, and that were good moments.
Yeah, I had forgot a couple of those, so I appreciate you jogging my memory. It was. I have a stupid memory when it comes to sports in general, but United especially, because I've just kind of cared way too much since 2019 about this team. But it's a lot of goals and that you have to try to remember, and even trying to remember all of last year's goals. It's like, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that one was nice. There's a handful that stick out. Those two that I mentioned, Brucey scoring against Sacramento.
Yeah, that was cool.
That one sticks out because the announcers were so annoying with it. They were just like, "Oh, he scored, cool." And like that's Sacramento.
One of probably his best goal ever.
Yeah, for sure. Freighter, do you have that sound clip, Seth? Because I can't find it on our stuff anymore.
The volley against
Freighter. Yeah, no, against
Portland.
That's Portland.
Yeah, that was
his hat and gets the draw after we kind of gave it away. Just a ton of moments from that first year that I think about from time to time, and it's just a special year. And of course, it wasn't your only year though. You come back for 3 more years after that. One of those is COVID, which is kind of weird and wonky, but
that was a really good year, honestly. Like it was tough, but our team was really good, and we were a little bit unfortunate not to go on further. I think if we get past El Paso, we have a good chance of winning the cup that year. It's just the way it goes sometimes, but that year was special for a lot of reasons, and our team got really, really tight. And
I imagine you kind of have to when you're playing on the road for the whole season, and so it wasn't great for us fans since we couldn't go support you guys live unless we went to Colorado Springs or El Paso, which aren't far away, granted. So it is something we could do, and we had a home game, quote unquote.
We got Colorado. Some great tifos out of that home game.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I speak for most fans when I say that you are the face of the team for a ton of reasons, not just being the first signing, not just being a Lobo before this, but just what you did in the community when you were on the team, and what you're continuing to do, and still calling this place home, and being out amongst the people, and still being at games, and being at being in the video for the kit release, and doing everything you do, and I thank you for all of that, and for providing the memories such as the first goal and the San Antonio goal and many others, and I'm glad you came here, and I'm glad you were able to kind of live that dream of playing for a pro team in New Mexico, and hopefully it continues on, and we get a stadium, which we're not going to talk about tonight, unfortunately, but I'm sure that'll be a topic for next week. Maybe we'll have a little more details by next week. I doubt it, but it's something that I hope to see whenever we do get a stadium. I want that statue of you, preferably with the hair, just because it's so iconic. Maybe after that first goal, doing the 505 or something. And I think if anybody, it's you and Bruce that deserve those statues in some way, shape, or form. Maybe Bruce will be a statue with a headset on as a coach or something. But no, I thank you so much for everything you've contributed to New Mexico soccer as a whole, and I'm glad you enjoyed your time here and all that stuff. So we got a few more minutes here. Christina, Seth, you got anything else for Devon? I know we could probably go on and on and on, like with everybody else that we've had, but go ahead.
I have one question for Devon.
Sure.
How likely or unlikely is a TNT United alumni team?
Yes.
TST.
Oh, TST. Yeah.
Or TST. Yeah.
That's a good question. I'd love to do that. That'd be fun.
We heard you had one kind of lined up, and then it was Devon Sandoval night.
Twice for now they're Quick Goal FC. It was the first 2 years. But I had just started my new job, and that time of the year for me is not a time I want to take off. So unfortunately I had to pass, but that'd be awesome if we could make that happen. I'm trying to think, like, Kev's still playing in that.
He's been playing in it.
He would kill it in TST. Yeah, who else is still? I'm sure we could sort it out. Maybe get some guest players.
Weehan was down.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I asked Weehan, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, I would want to grab some guys that are not New Mexico United too. I think I could probably get some good guys.
Yeah.
I'd want to win that trophy.
Right.
Now, is it expensive to register a team for that?
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
The team that asked me, they were going to cover like my flight, and they were going to cover hotel and food and everything.
Nice.
I think a lot of the teams take it serious.
Yeah.
It's like, it's professional, tournament.
And the rules are so fun. As a fan getting to watch games, just it's so fun how I discovered it because Freighter was playing in it. It was like, what is this? Yeah. And just learning along with each game of like, oh, that's the rule. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Drop players.
I love it. It's cool. 7v7 is so fun too, and the size of it. I just wish I don't think they allow slide tackles. I think they should allow slide tackles. Yeah.
That'd be like you guys playing down at Kramer Fields.
That field that they're playing at in North Carolina, it's grass, and it is like some of the best grass.
Looks beautiful.
Ever. So it would be.
I think we'd have a pretty good traveling fan show up too to cheer you guys on.
Yeah, I'm sure that'd be awesome. Let's get on it. You guys need to
charter another plane.
So I'm curious about, two things really. One, have you talked to Fishbein? I know that you guys had a pretty close relationship at UNM. Obviously, he's up at AC Boise now, who won their season opener. Have you talked to him about the potential for maybe, and I don't know if it's an even bigger conversation about UNM bringing back men's football, or have you reconnecting with Fishbein in some way?
Yeah, we keep up. I don't know. I don't think he has much say in what's going on with like a UNM program. Yeah. I wish that would happen. That was super depressing, and a lot of people were disappointed by that. But that's definitely something on like my dream / list of things I'd like to see happen or be a part of is help bring that back in some capacity. So I'm not sure what that looks like, but I think that'd be really cool.
Well, the new AD has pretty significant ties here, so maybe it's a thing. So
maybe we need to talk.
Yeah. The other thing I was curious about, you mentioned 2 young kids. Obviously, you're coaching your daughter. Does she know that you're a famous soccer player?
Famous is a relative term. They both of them. They kind of know a little bit. Okay. My daughter is old enough to remember, going out, being out on the field and seeing stuff. And my son, he's almost 5, so he probably does not remember me playing, but he still knows somehow. Like his school asked me to come out like 2 weeks ago and kick the ball around with his class, and United supported that with like balls and stickers, and made it really fun. And he was his name's Nigel, but Nigel was really excited about that. He was like super excited about me coming and being part of that. And he may still think I'm a pro, or he wants me to play still. So. But yeah, so my daughter remembers my daughter, or my daughter remembers my son. Yeah. He's seen videos and stuff. So.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I know we've talked to Weehan and a couple others, who didn't have kids, who around at the time. So I was curious what that process was like for you. Like, how familiar are they in understanding that you played professionally, in front of people? So
yeah, for them, they understand that for
Yeah.
sure. Like for them, it's, especially my daughter, but for them, it's normal. It was normal going to watch me play, go to, New Mexico United games. That's just normal, even after I finished playing, still going to the games. I think that's important for them and want them to experience that. And I do also want them to experience it as like a normal thing, because like something we would talk about with my old teammates in Salt Lake, like guys who had kids, they'd bring their kids around the locker room, and when we would talk about it, like when you grow up and that's normal, like being a professional athlete or being high level achiever, whatever it is, it's just normal. And like one of those kids, he's 17 and he's on Inter Miami now, and his dad's one of the coaches. So, just try to set the standard for them at an early age, and make that their normal. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know, backfire, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, we've hit the 90-minute mark. We won't keep you any longer, Dev. To everybody over in the chat, there's several names over there that made an appearance. Space Kid, glad to have you back. Josh, Mama Christina, A.K. Rosemary, Andy, Brandon, Justin was in here earlier. David, of course. Harry made an appearance just to talk about a handball that wasn't. My buddy Alex was over there. Jake was over there. Symphonic was over there. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Christina, you yourself were over there. Thank you guys all for joining us. Thank you everybody that watched live or watched later. If you're listening to this as the podcast, please rate and review us on whatever podcast player you're listening to. We will be back next week, same time, same places. Hopefully talking about 3 points and advancing in the Open Cup. Devon, I want to thank you again, of course, for taking time, coming on, talking to some people that you don't know, and I just appreciate it beyond belief. So we'd love to have you back. I'm sure there's 1,000 more things that we could pick your brain on, and so maybe that's something we can work out in the future. But thank you for tonight, and again, guys, we will be back next week. Until then, love y'all. Somos Unidos.